So our outreach team, we were in Papua New Guinea in Mumbai province, and we were doing a night of open air evangelism. A crowd of maybe 100, 150 people had showed up, and we were just sharing, and we offered up a time of prayer. And towards the end of the time of prayer, the team was starting to, get back together to go back to where we were staying. And we noticed that there's a bit of a commotion, and there was a crowd gathering around a woman who was on the ground, and she was pregnant, and she looked to be in quite a bit of pain. What happened was she was actually just beaten by her husband. Really rather difficult to be in the situation, not really knowing much about what to do besides we called an ambulance and we prayed for her as well. But the next day we were back at the transit center, and I had one of those strange Holy Spirit leadings where the Holy Spirit was just telling me to find her husband and pray with him. And it was her husband who was the one that had beaten her, and so I was a little bit nervous to try to pursue that avenue of what the Holy Spirit was leading me to, but just by simply obeying, God really laid out the whole story after this. And so I was able to find out his name, and I also found out that he was in the jail. And so me and one other person, we went to the jail, and we asked for this man. The police chief said that we could talk to him, and they sat us down in a room with this man. So it was myself, another team member, and this man who just the night before had beaten his wife. And so the guards left the room, and it was just the three of us, and we were sitting there, and I really was a bit nervous, but I also knew that the Holy Spirit was setting up something beautiful. We just told him, we knew exactly what had happened, but we also wanted to confirm to him the way that God felt about him, and just the fact that God was not mad at who he is, and that God just loves him so much, and just the way that God feels about him. So we actually brought him a snack. We brought him some Fanta and some chips just to, try to lift his spirits. And we did communion with the Fanta and the chips. And he had done communion before, but this time it was after he had rededicated his life to Christ. And so there's a lot more significance and meaning behind communion this time. And although it was just Fanta and chips, the symbol of it all was really beautiful in that moment. And so we also realized that we'd been talking with him for about 45 minutes and praying with him. And towards the end of it, he actually told us that earlier that day he had been praying, and he said that he knew that we were coming. He didn't know it was going to be two white guys, but he knew somebody was coming for him. Somebody was coming, and they were going to be sent by the Holy Spirit, and that's exactly what it was. And I also realized afterwards that had I not taken the step of obedience and leading that the Holy Spirit had given to me, that divine appointment never would have happened. And so at the end of it, we saw him give his life back to Christ, and we were able to pray with him, and so honored and privileged really to be part of this man's story and be a part of the amazing testimony that he now has as well. Just knowing that God is, just so ready to forgive and to love us as well.